And just to be public, one nation. Good.
Sosa, O'Connell, here, Mora, here, Mason, here, Jackson, Hightower,
Here. Any public participation? We know. Mr. Burke? No public participation. Here. No business. New business, is that?
New business, so we have Jeremy Rolling and Jesslyn Kelly here to review the change order reviews. We have change orders for the construction and change orders on furniture. Give a project update. And then an update on the storage options.
All right, I'll kick it off. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right, so it's just me tonight, no Ricardo. So I'm gonna present on both Sunnyside and MacArthur and Riley Northlake. So to kind of speed it along, I'm gonna have Joe show both drone videos, and then I'll talk about progress on both sites, and then I'll go through the change orders. So. And keep in mind, these were taken about 2 weeks ago, so a lot of progress since then. On the Sunny side, and I'll switch over to Riley quick. I'll talk to you. All right, so starting off with Sunnyside and MacArthur, as you saw in the drone video, and probably noticed as you drove in tonight, the building is gone. There is the north half of the old MacArthur building, the foundations are still in the ground. And they should be predominantly gone by the end of this week, a little bit of cleanup into early next week, and then demolition is complete. The site utility contractor has remobilized, so end of last week, we put in the storm line that actually permanently drains your detention system. So previously we were draining through an existing line, which is half the capacity of what the permanent line is. So we were letting out a slow trickle, but we were holding more water than intended. So the permanent tie into the city storm sewer went in at the end of last week. And now with the basement or with the building being demolished, we're getting ready to install the second half of the detention system. So you remember way back at the very beginning of this project, we installed about 60% of it. We have 40% to go. So that will start possibly the end of this week, if not, for sure, early next week. So, that's really what's gonna be going on at Sunnyside MacArthur here, for the foreseeable future is storm detention, the last of the stormwater, structures and concrete pipe. And then followed up by final site grading and paving. So as soon as school's out, we'll be taking over kind of the rest of the site and taking over what I call the alleyway along the west fence line so that we can remove all that asphalt, remove the temporary parking that we created on the west side and final grade all that. If you remember about where those cars that are in the picture, that would be the soccer field. And then over up closer to the buses will be the playground, and where that machine is kind of sitting in the middle of the basement will be the baseball field. So parking lot closest, down closest to St. Charles. So that's the transformation that's going to happen here over the next couple of months, and will be wrapped up prior to the start of school next year. So that's really all I have for Sunnyside MacArthur. Over on the Riley Northlake site, yes.
Post funding on the fuel tank those sites.
Yes, so we did find an unregistered tank just inside the foundation at the old Sunnyside building. We still are in the process of having that removed, so we're getting the permit together for the removal of that. I think Laura has a change order for ECS for approval tonight for the witnessing of that. It's quite a process, even though we believe it may be abandoned in place, but it is unregistered, so there's no documentation whether that was properly abandoned. Soil's been sampled, so we're following the full process of removing that as if it's full. It's about 6 feet long, 3 feet wide, maybe 3 or 4 feet deep. So we're working around that right now. We have it identified as to where it's at, and the procedure will be properly remove it. The state fire marshal actually witnesses the removal of those, and then we'll do the soil sampling to make sure that if there was ever any leakage or contamination over time, that the site is remediated and left clean. So that is a piece that has to be taken care of and addressed yet. Any other questions on Sunnyside? Over on the Riley Northlake site, so you know, one of the biggest transformations here that you see in this drone video is the replacement of the, I'll call it the play surface behind Riley. You see the new access drive coming in there, but that play surface for a long time has really been a pond. When it rains, it didn't drain well. So we built that grade up. That's actually almost about 3 feet higher than it was back there. That water all sheds off towards the Park District land, where we've now installed the new drainage, kind of a drainage swale and drainage structures there. So that I think is a really big improvement for that site. And just having a nice, dry, well-drained play surface that they can utilize. You see the big concrete patch there. That is where the dumpsters are located and the generator on the backside of the school. So what you don't see in this video that has happened since the video is the site is fully landscaped. So all the landscaping, bushes, plants, trees are in. The sod is down. It's being watered pretty much continuously. So everything you see in, you know, brown there is nice green sod. So that's really transformed the site, both sides of the site, front of the school and back. All the temporary fencing is down. And so it's pretty much opened up. We are moving on to the next phase. That's really the other big piece here at Riley is gearing up for 2 weeks from today when we start the last leg of this journey with the summer renovations in both Riley and Northlake. But we were able to gain access to the gymnasium at Northlake a week ago Saturday, I guess it was. So we've been in there for about a week and a half. And we are in the process right now of ripping the roof off the North Lake Gymnasium, it's probably 70% torn off. The inside of the gymnasium has been fully demolished. All the bleachers, the flooring, the backboards, the basketball hoops, everything is gone. And we are starting to build back. So right now we're structurally enforcing the roof for the new rooftop air handling unit that's going to sit on top there. And that will be set here in the next couple of weeks. We're reworking the ductwork in there, reworking the electrical systems and the low voltage systems in there. So there's a lot of work already started. We determined that 3 weeks, a 3-week jump start would really help us to finish strong in that space. We needed some extra space, particularly because of the wood floor that's being installed in there, the cure times needed. So we're off to a running start in the North Lake gym. In the addition, about all that's really been happening for the last couple of weeks or month, we did the final cleaning. The Wold team completed the punch list of the space. There was 650 items roughly. As of today, Ricardo gave me the update that there's about 180 left, and we're working through those right now. And then we're working through our final inspections, but there's a little caveat that's got us hung up on final inspections, and that's just that there's some kitchen equipment that has to move from the existing kitchen into the new kitchen to be able to finalize and perform all of the final inspections surrounding that space. And obviously that can't happen until they're done using that equipment in the North Lake cafeteria. So we're planning to do that the first week the school's out, the week of June 5th. We'll move that over, set it in place, do all of our testing, and finalize the new kitchen. So I think that's really it on the Riley North Lake update. Like I said, the team is really just focusing on, you know, we're 2 weeks away from go time. It's been nice having the prep time to finish the addition and finish the rest of the space, but it's about to get serious again with summer renovation. So we're well prepared. We've got, you know, all the mechanical equipment has been in storage for 5 months now, 6 months. So that's all readily available locally to here in Addison. And our electrical gear is probably the big outstanding piece, and that comes in early June. So we'll be ready for the replacement of that stuff. So all good indicators on material tracking there, and the roofing materials are available as well. So I think that's it. Any questions on Riley North Lake? Cool. So I do have a lot of change orders for you tonight. Apologize in advance. I have 2 for Sunnyside MacArthur and 10 for Riley North Lake. So I'm going to kind of breeze through them, but please feel free to stop me if you have any questions. So starting off with Sunnyside MacArthur, change order 157 relates to a new sidewalk that's going to be installed along Wolf Road. The Village of Berkeley has plans to install a sidewalk leading from the intersection of St. Charles and Wolf all the way up to connecting in with your new sidewalk at what is the bus exit driveway. We met with the mayor and yeah, and that unfortunately that sidewalk is not in the plans for about 3 to 4 years yet. So what that's resulting in is there is no clear path for walkers to get from the intersection of St. Charles and Wolf up to the school. So we've made the determination, we've priced it out to put the sidewalk in as they had plans for. And the final price on that is $25,083. And that'll be completed with the rest of the site work here in about a month. So that will give you a full sidewalk and full access to the school down to the intersection, which is a heavily traveled path. So I think that's needed. The second change order for Sunnyside MacArthur is 158. And this, if you remember, we did a change order for the sod on the phase one of Sunnyside MacArthur. And this is the sod, the change order to go from seed and blanket to sod for the rest of the project here at Sunnyside MacArthur. And so this would be the baseball field, the soccer field, everything around the parking lot, and up here where our trailer currently resides. So we're gonna be finishing everything off with sod. The change order there is $29,980. So that was it for Sunnyside MacArthur. Moving on to Riley Northlake, change order 159 pertains to PR 52. That 52 and 55, so we've lumped two change orders into one here. There were a few pieces of equipment that weren't properly matched with the breaker sizes in some of the panels, and so we needed to upgrade or change out a few of the breakers. The cost, and this is regarding the kitchen in the addition. So the cost there is $4,650. Change order 160 then pertains to PR 53. This goes back to the Northlake Gymnasium. And the main change here is taking, it was designed with 4 rows of bleachers similar to what the MacArthur Gymnasium has here. In talking with the user groups, they needed much more seating at Northlake, just in the way the space is used, and not having the open cafeteria space that Sunnyside MacArthur has. So I think they were looking for about 400 seats, and we determined that we could do that by putting in 7 rows of bleachers instead of 4 rows. And there used to be I'll call it an alcove in the middle. It separated the 2 sections of bleachers. So as part of the demolition, as a part of this PR, we took those dividing walls out, and it will be one continuous long run with 7 rows of bleachers. It'll get them the seating capacity they were looking for. And it'll also, you'll have a much larger section of bleachers. So the other piece that it does, there's about halfway up the wall in there, there's fin tube radiators that run all 3 sides of the gym. It was determined with the new rooftop air handler going in that space that the fin tube is actually no longer needed. And it fell right at about the back level of the top of the 7th row of bleachers. So the people sitting there would have been leaning on that, not real comfortable to sit there. And so we're taking that out and patching the block as a part of this change order. So this one is a little bit larger. It is $68,612. And it is, we have it flagged as a not to exceed, only because we carried a little bit of allowance for the block patching, not knowing exactly what was needed until everything was demoed out. Although when I walked the space late last week, where the walls were dying into each other, it was actually very clean. So we should be able to save a little bit of money here. Not anything huge, but anything we can save, we will. Change order 161 then is related to PR 58. So along the new loading dock on the addition. As we looked at the built condition of the concrete retaining wall and where the railings were called out to be, we found there to be actually less railing needed than what was shown. So we were able to gather up a small credit here of $1,337. Change order 162 relates to PR 59. The asphalt play surface that I just talked about behind Riley. When we built the grades up, there used to be a curb around that play surface. As we built the grade up, that curb disappeared, right? So no curbs were called for. It would have been okay to die off the asphalt, but from a longevity perspective, the asphalt will shift and separate along those edges, and you get a lot better compaction with a curb to act as a barrier for the asphalt. So we did we put a curb around the whole play surface. Curb and gutter cost $9,716 for that area. Change order 163 then, this relates to the addition. There are 2 doors leading out the north end of the addition, next to the Riley Gymnasium. Where the electrical drawings specified power and requirements for door operators, unfortunately, the hardware sets didn't include automatic door operators on those. It was just I think it was just a miss. So we've determined that those are needed and desired at those two doors. And the cost for door operators on those sets of doors is $7,910. Change order 164 relates to PR 61. This is again at that play surface. When we raised up the grade, we had the concrete and the ramp revisions. As you come off the backside of Riley, the ramp had to be reworked. It was much longer before. It's now actually a fairly short ramp. But part of that is the existing railings. The exact requirements weren't known what needed to be done with those until it was built. So now that we've built it, we've got some temporary railings out there so that it's usable. But we do need to make final modifications to those, which is we've got a not to exceed cost of $3,948. They gave us a price to come out, assuming they were going to utilize the whole day, even though it's not a whole day's worth of work, just driving there and back. So we're going to pair this with some other work they're already going to be out there for in a few weeks, and we should be able to bring this price down quite a bit. But right now it's $3,948. Change order 165 is the replacement of 55 wireless access points in Riley and Norfolk. So the district partnered with E2 Services for the purchase of all the wireless access points and technology equipment for the buildings. Unfortunately, the timing of the arrival of those devices just didn't work out. So we actually have this at both Sunnyside MacArthur and at Riley Norfolk. There are 38 or 39 devices in the new Sunnyside MacArthur, which need to be swapped out. What happened was, to get the buildings operational at the time, we took the old devices, put them back up so everything was functional day one. And now the new devices have arrived and the manpower is just needed to go back around and swap those out. So at Sunnyside MacArthur, because the contract is done, we've got allowance money left over in the contract and we're taking care of it here as soon as school gets out. With Riley Northlake, we still have a summer's worth of renovation. We have allowance money, but just to preserve that for things that may come along as we go through the summer, we're requesting a change order to do this at Riley Northlake. And so the cost is $6,850. So change order 166 is the regarding the Northlake stage. So the contract includes the replacement of the curtain on the stage. However, when the curtain manufacturer came out to review the existing conditions and measure for that curtain, it was found that the track, while it appears to be in decent condition, the hooks that are used to attach the curtain to the track no longer are code compliant and can result in the curtain falling off of the track. So it was suggested to upgrade the track to a new style code compliant curtain track to go along with the new curtain that you've already purchased. So the cost here on the track is $24,885. 167 change order 167 relates back to the Northlake Gymnasium. We laid out the new rooftop air handling unit. It was found that while it wasn't sitting directly on top of the roof drains, it was very close and wasn't going to allow for proper drainage of the water around that unit. So the unit had to be shifted by about 6 feet. And that changed the structural loading on the existing roof joists. Structural engineer reviewed it, gave us revised requirements for the stiffening of those roof joists, which is taking place right now. But it did add about 9 feet of reinforcing to 7 or 8 bar joists. So it's quite a bit of welding. It's very labor intensive work in that regard. So the cost here, we have it as a not to exceed is $15,283. We're going to try and work that price down. If we can save anything, we will report back next month. District change order 168. Incorporates the replacement of old windowsills in the Riley Staff Lounge. So in the Riley Staff Lounge, we had nice new white solid surface countertops underneath the window. The windowsills were like a brownish red stone material, and they interfered with the new countertops. So we're gonna have to make some modifications to them already, but they were cracked. There was some damage to them. So the decision was made to actually replace that. So you now have a nice windowsill that flows down as sort of a backsplash, so to speak, and ties in with the countertop, all done in the same material. And the Riley Staff Lounge is pretty large, and the window runs the full length of the room, so quite a bit of solid surface material. The cost here was $6,884. And the last change order is a not to exceed value of $45,000 regarding the North Lake band and music rooms. So the band and music rooms did not call for we typically don't have in the contract to replace the carpeting in. It's newer carpeting than what's in the rest of the school. By new, I think we determined that's still fairly old. But going by what we found last year and really looking at what the scope of the work is in those two rooms, we're tearing out the ceilings, putting all new ceilings in. We're putting 2 windows in the exterior of each of those rooms, cutting those in the outside walls. So there's a lot of work that has to happen in there. If you remember last summer when we discovered the acoustically rated ceilings that are, they've got an acoustical tile, then layers of drywall, metal framing, and layers of insulation up there as part of the noise ordinance rework done several years ago. Our concern is protecting that carpet and being able to get it back clean, right? So the ceilings in there are 22 feet tall, something like that. So all the debris and drywall dust and the insulation fibers that may be falling on that carpet, even though we put plastic down and layers of plywood and whatnot, we're really not confident we can get that clean. The other thing is, as we're cutting in exterior windows, there's the potential for leaks to happen while we're in a temporary condition. So we're recommending that maybe now is the time to consider replacing the carpet in those rooms. So it'd be the band room, the music room, the 4 practice rooms in between, and the music office. So the not to exceed price here includes demolition, removal of the flooring, cleanup of the glue, and putting in new carpet. The carpet material is available. It's 4 to 6 weeks out right now. That's why we're bringing this here this month. We can get it in time. Realizing it's a big cost and we're going into a summer of somewhat unknowns, right? But if there's a time to do it, we feel like now is the time. Everything from a furniture perspective and equipment perspective will already be moved out of those rooms for the work that has to happen. So that's a benefit, as well as the rooms will already be cleaned out. So
Would every request be coming out of contingency fund?
it would.
Laura, you reviewed that?
We did, we reviewed it as a team with Gilbane and the whole team. And the concern, not just the debris falling to get into the carpet, but the masonry cutting, that you've got that kind of I want to say placed like a concrete type of water when they're cutting through the
Slurry.
masonry. That's, if it gets in there, then hard, almost rock hard carpet. So we're likely gonna have to replace some of it anyhow.
The band room, so the music room is easier to protect, I would say. The band room is difficult because it's tiered, and it's like horseshoe tiers. It's not even just straight edges. And that's what's driving the price of the carpet, honestly, as well as you've got all the tiers to work your way through, and then the edge of the tiers have like a rubber nosing on them, or will have. So the band room particularly is fairly labor intensive to replace the flooring. So that would include carpet and base, all the bases. So I know I rattled off a lot of change orders there. I just want to leave you with a summary of where we're at. With estimated and pending change orders. There you go. Thank you, Joe. We do sit with remaining contingency is about just over $1.8 million. So I think we're still in really good shape. We're, like I said, we're in the final stretch here, or moving into the final stretch of summer. We have a good amount of allowance money left as well. We've been taking that back as we close contracts out here at Sunnyside with Hartford. We've been bringing that back to the project, and that will, at the end of the day, show back up in the contingency as well. So with it, I think overall, as I spoke last month, we still sit very well. And as you can see, the pending change orders or the estimated change orders are actually fairly small. So
The project 85 numbers.
overall, yeah, it's probably about right. So. Any questions? Any further questions for me?
No question?
Thank you.
Thank you. Good update. Thank you.
Mine will not be as long. I only have the two separate furniture change orders. So we'll go ahead and start with the furniture at Jefferson and Whittier. So this came about just to include the preschool classroom furniture. So this has allowed us to separate the cost because you have grant funding for that preschool furniture. So at Jefferson and at Whittier, you have two preschool classrooms that are getting replaced teacher and teacher aide workstations. So desk, personal storage, and chairs. And that's 1.2 and 1.3 on the summary that you have. It's $4,296 at each school. And then as part of this change, it was brought to our attention that at Whittier, there is a room that we had noted as a classroom and purchased as a classroom that is now primarily used for preschool intervention. So you have 5 specialists in that space that don't require student furniture, they require teacher furniture. So the last part of this change order is to purchase 5 more teacher stations, desks and chairs for that room. As we were going through, because all of the furniture has been purchased, and because we reduce the number of first and second grade classroom desks, we aren't able to get a credit for that, but what it does allow is a little bit of flexibility, 1 classroom's worth of flexibility in your primary schools. So if you had a flex year, especially at Whittier, you have a few more kindergarten sections this coming year, and that will flow into first and second grade. So allowing that flexibility of having all the right kindergarten classrooms all the time. And then if you reduce a kindergarten section, you don't have that replacement in first and second grade. So the total add for the furniture at Jefferson and Whittier is $13,842. In the summary breakdown, we show that being removed from the freight and delivery contingency. This is similar to how we've handled all the other furniture to date. You've got your construction contingency, which remains untouched. And that freight and delivery contingency can absorb this. So we're still remaining with that $122,046, and the total construction dollars stays below the original budget overall. So any questions on the Jefferson and Whittier furniture update?
Would there be any delay on the 5 desks that we're requesting?
I don't believe so. We're checking with that right now. They're planning on installing the first round of furniture starting in June, so this may come in August. So we're still anticipating it before school starts. So then if we want to go to the next letter, Joe. Thanks. This covers the remaining 4 schools. This is a change order to include keyboard trays at the reception stations, at each reception station at each school. So you'll have 2 per building, Riley, Sunnyside, Northlake, and MacArthur. And then it also includes purchasing mailboxes. That was something that we had assumed were coming over, but does not make sense to come over from the old building to the new. So this total change order for both sites, both campuses is $8,900, and that does include installation of all of those things as well. And again, we took that out of the freight and delivery contingency, and our construction contingency for furniture specifically remains untouched. So we're looking at still being under the original budget, and your total, you're looking at over $400,000 right now and being to the black on your furniture budget. Any questions on furniture?
Questions?
Great. Well, then I just have one verbal update that I'll provide for the Riley settlement. I know Dan walked you through kind of where we were at last month and what information we had. The latest report that I got from ECS, which is your testing service, said that the last 2 months of readings at the meters that had shown movement had shown negligible movement. So we're kind of seeing things all over the board. I don't know that it's permanently stabilized, but it could be something where seasonally it's stabilized. We've talked with the Gilbane team, and I think that there's a couple of options that we have moving forward that we want to explore just a little bit further. But you've got a drainage, we can call it a problem. You have a surface drainage portion of the site that it just kind of carves out the land and it starts to erode it a little bit, and that's right where the sensors are. So we don't know if there's just a little bit too much water infiltration there and creating a little bit more movement at the groundwater level. So seeing if there's anything in those structures along there that may be damaged or clogged, seeing if there's something that we can at least repair on that front. And then the next step would be to stabilize and level the floor. The ECS report does recommend jacking the floor up. I don't know that that's entirely necessary if you can level it out so that it still is flush with everything that you have and created a datum line. What we don't want to do is raise the entire slab 2 inches when most of the building is no longer moving. So the key would be to stabilize that one corner, and we think we can do that through some of the water remediation issues, and then level it for flooring. So we'll look into that a little bit more as they dig into summer construction and come back with more of an update. And we'll talk through that with the district team. So that's the update I have on the Riley settling. Any questions there?
Questions?
Perfect. The last thing I have is an update on the storage. So I believe Dan told you all last month that he would come back with kind of the final fee proposal, and this is in alignment with what the administration is going to recommend tonight, which is to add on to your district office maintenance garage. This is in alignment with the budget, or the preliminary budget numbers that you saw that Gilbane helped us prepare at the last meeting, but just includes our fees and some of the design contingencies. Jeremy, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the goal is to have the foundations and the slab done before all of your site work is done, so that you can do that under the current contract, and then move forward and bid the rest of the structure. So everything above ground would be bid as part of kind of the next phase. All of that would be included as part of this proposal. We would just separate it into 2 areas, and that would allow for some flexibility of construction schedule. Get it out of the ground before it's cold, and then allow you to kind of work through the winter. So that's kind of our critical path right now. If the board approves this tonight, then we'll get moving on the PR for the foundations and the slab. And at the same time, we'll work through the design documents for the rest of it as well.
How much was the total investigated?
60 or 70,000.
Yeah.
You need one at this site and one at Riley. The one at Riley would still remain as being needed, but there'd be the one for this site would be the 70,000.
As we discussed, Dan Critta shared last month, and we talked about was using the existing trades. Instead of installing the concrete pad that was in the design for holding a shed, it's not a huge credit, but we would get a credit for that and do the foundation and the pads first for the garage extension. And then everything else above that would be bid. Because that would not have been part of the project.
Dale, are you part of the discussion? Yes. Do you have any concerns?
I'm concerned to think, no, I think we need it. I think they use longer, we wait, just increase prices over the years. We can absorb it now, pay the savings and time to do it.
And Laura, that'd be part of the session.
It'll be part of the open session. And so we have contingency and allowances that would cover the change from the pad to the foundation and apron. The rest of it would be funded. We would use, we have funds in the O&M fund for from CPPRT that we could transfer to cover the cost of the garage, the ground up, the part we're gonna bid.
Any other questions? Thanks, thanks everyone.
You good job, look.
Thank you.
Covers all of our updates, and we could transfer, if we need to, we could transfer everything to cover that changes for expansion of the foundation and as well as the part we're gonna bid.
Okay, that concludes the facilities. Can I get a motion to adjourn? It's Mason. Good morning. Roll call, please.
Hightower,
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Mora. Aye. Mason.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
Once again, you guys are always welcome to stay. We don't want to keep that guess up, but we don't want to stay. We'll go right down. Anything, John? No. All right.
No, I think we're good.
You gonna stay?
Yeah, and we'll give an update on the abatement change order we'll get that in the regular meeting. So, and Dale has the information on that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank
you. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Jeremy. Okay, we want to call our regular board meeting order. A roll call, please.
O'Connell. Mora.
Hi.
Mason.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hightower.
Here.
Motion carried.
Yeah, we're not gonna do it. Not tonight, okay. Okay, public participation.
Okay, I have a couple of questions that I'll address on behalf of the board. The first is, this is from a parent named Charisse, or a community member named Charisse, I'm not sure which. What is being done about the mice in the classroom at MacArthur, 8th grade pods? So,
We had an issue with the mice in the beginning of the year. We had the service out, took care of it, but I haven't heard of any problems last month and a half.
So we'll respond to that. Okay. And then also from the same community member, as parents, we receive phone communications regarding inclement weather via phone. Why were we notified via email about the possible active shooter situation in MacArthur? So we gave our communication out as quickly as we could, and we chose to put it in writing because we could also get it translated quickly. And we did 3 different communications to our families, and we chose to use email. We're also going to work in the future at using Dojo, meaning that will be an additional communication tool. A lot of our parents in the primary and intermediate use a class Dojo. So we'll send it out in email and we'll send it out with the Dojo. We also are going to explore if possible getting communication out via text. That's another tool we're going to use. And if we have time, we can also try to get something out via phone. What we're finding from a lot of our families, they don't pick up those calls. And they don't listen to them. And we're trying to get it as quickly as we can. It's not that we can't do a phone, it would just be another step for us to do. But we'll try to use every tool that we can to communicate. So thank you, it's just the name Sharice. Thank you for that. So that's the end of our public discussion. Okay, written. We asked that the board accept the written correspondence as presented. The motion, Ms. O'Connell. And Ms. Moore, roll call please.
Mason,
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Mora,
Aye.
O'Connell. Aye. Motion carried.
We ask that the board approve the minutes of the reorganization special board meeting of April 24th, 2023. The regular board meeting of April 24th, 2023. The closed session minutes of March 20th, 2023. And the facilities committee meeting of April 24th, 2023 as presented. Okay, motion, Ms. O'Connell. Mr. Jackson, roll call please.
Mason,
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Mora,
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Motion carried.
The reports. No old business from the superintendent. Okay. Ms. Emily?
Noble business.
Okay. Ms. Smith?
Yes, the education approved the accounts and claims payable authorization as presented. And there were no questions this month.
I get a motion. Ms. Moore? Roll call, Mrs. Jackson? Roll call?
O'Connell.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Mora. Aye. Motion carried.
And the monthly building rental report is included in your packet for your review, and this is for informational purposes only.
You?
Thank you.
Ms. Travis?
No.
Thank you. Any other old business? Okay. I got a motion possible in the closed session. Ms. O'Connell and Ms. Moore. Roll call please.
Mason.
Aye.
Mora.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We're gonna go into closed session. I won't say it's gonna be long, it shouldn't be long. But we are gonna go into closed session. My name? Yes, sir. Aye. Who's the- It's- You, they, we're gonna do what we always do. One, two, we're.
Questions? Yes.
a little bit, and we're gonna turn it back over to us.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hightower. So, the next topic on the agenda is the appointment of a new board member. So we will do the oath of office for Mr. Chavez when he returns in the June board meeting. But for this board meeting, Ms. Espinoza Pizarro was interviewed by the Board of Education and was selected by the board consensus to fill the vacancy of Mr. Sosa. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education appoint Cosette Espinoza Pizarro to the vacant seat on the Board of Education effective immediately.
Ms. O'Connell. Mr. Jackson. Okay, roll call, please.
Mora,
Aye.
Mason,
Aye.
Hightower,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
O'Connell. Aye. Motion carried.
You're welcome to stay the rest of the meeting. You like. We will swear you in next week. I mean, next month. And we will assign your office. Right. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, moving right along. Consideration of new business, board reports. So,
Oh, okay, I got it, and I think I was at my last base meeting, right?
no,
Yes. it was. Okay, I've got a full thing here, I won't read it, I won't babble it, I'll just go on, but the next meeting will be, June 21st at 6 o'clock. So you can go and, if not.
are you gonna be assistant, Ms. Mason, or Ms. Mason? You be there?
Yes, I am going to go with.
Okay.
So how?
So you will be attending.
The next one, you can go, you and I will go together,
Okay,
and then you can part ways if you like, or we can rotate however you want to do.
since I've been there 34 years, it's time I left.
Thank you.
We'll see.
Okay, huh?
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Thank you. Anything else? Ms. Mason, you have any reports to give us?
No reports.
No reports. Sylvester is here. We had our facilities meeting right before this, so all the minutes are part of your board packages, okay? Public relations, no, we need, okay, Mr. Jackson, you have a meeting? Okay, moving right along, superintendent.
We asked that the board accept the resignation of board member Alejandro Sosa.
Get a motion, Mr. Jackson, Ms. Moore, roll call please.
Hightower,
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
O'Connell,
I,
Mason.
Aye.
Mora,
Aye.
motion carried.
We asked that the board accept the resignation of the following personnel. Regina Rotterman, ELA cross-categorical teacher, MacArthur Middle School, effective June 2nd, 2023. Sarah Busa, sixth grade ESL resource teacher, MacArthur, effective June 2nd, 2023. Maris Clausen, tech literacy teacher, MacArthur, effective June 2nd, 2023. Jasmine Brown, second grade inclusion resource teacher, Whittier, effective June 2nd, 2023. And Caitlin Bowling, second grade cross-categorical teacher, Whittier, effective June 2nd, 2023.
Motion. Well, Mr. Jackson, roll call please.
O'Connell,
I,
Hightower,
Aye.
Mora,
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We ask that the board approve the license leave of absence requests as presented for Emil Malave, Karen Nordstrom, Jessica Locke Coffey, Ann Boyer, Rashonda Morrison, and Kristen Zell.
Have a motion. So O'Connell and Ms. Moore, roll call please.
Hightower.
Aye.
O'Connell.
I,
Jackson. Mora.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We ask that the board employ the following personnel effective August 28th, 2023, pending all employment paperwork. Lindsay Boland, Northlink Inclusion Resource Teacher. Nicholas Levine, MacArthur Cross-Categorical Teacher. Bridget Ziegler, Riley Math Interventionist. Elizabeth Boaz Manska, Northlake Cross-Categorical Teacher. Elizabeth Bieber, Instrumental Band Teacher.
Roll call. Motion. Ms. Mason, Ms. O'Connell, roll call please.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Warren.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Yes, that the board accept the reassignment of Rocio Souche from Whittier School Second Grade Bilingual to Whittier and Jefferson Pre-K Bilingual Resource Teacher as presented.
Get a motion? Ms. Moore, so come, roll call please.
Mason.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Warren.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We ask that the Board of Education approve the educational support staff leave of absence requests as presented for Maria Marquez, Kenya Guzman Sandoval, Darren Coleman, and Melvin Hogan.
Motion. Ms. O'Connell, Ms. Mason, roll call please.
Jackson.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Warren.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We ask that the board employ the following personnel: Nancy Watt, lunchroom monitor at Riley, effective the start of the 2023-2024 school year. Marcus Jenkins, custodian, PM shift at MacArthur, effective May 3rd, 2023.
A motion. O'Connell. Ms. Mason, roll call please.
Jackson.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Warren.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We ask that the board accept the resignation of Elizabeth Williams, teacher aide, Riley School, effective June 2nd, 2023.
Motion. Ms. Moore, Ms. O'Connell, roll call please.
Warren.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We ask that the Board of Education terminate probationary employee Priscilla Cruz, as was discussed in April's closed session, effective at the end of the 2022-2023 school year, after due consideration of the information presented by the employee and administration as presented.
Get a motion. Ms. O'Connor, Ms. Moore, roll call please.
Hightower.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Warren.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We ask that the board approve the fundraisers as presented. Whittier box tops continue from previous years. Food for Less continue from previous years. North Lake White Sox ticket donation. Dance party for fall, winter, spring $5 tickets for the 2023-2024 school year. Movie night, $2 per adult, 1 per student, trimester 1, 2, and 3 for the 2023-2024 school year. Concession stand available all year long, 2023-2024 school year. Student council fundraisers for the 2023-2024 school year. And student council candygram available for purchase during the 2023-2024 school year.
Get a motion. Ms. O'Connor, Ms. Moore, roll call please.
Warren.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We ask that the board employ Dr. Daniel Sullivan as superintendent of schools beginning July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2026, as presented.
Get a motion. Ms. Jackson, Ms. Moore, roll call please.
Hightower.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Warren.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Just 1 second, make sure that this. Okay, for my oral report, wanted to do a quick reminder that June 1st is graduation, and I could still use a few people to help if possible. So Mr. Hightower is passing out diplomas, and he even practiced passing out diplomas today. Mr. Hightower came to the student recognition. And you did great up there on the stage. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So I wasn't sure who was available, but we're still looking for people to help if possible. So June 1st, North Lake's graduation is 5:30 p.m. MacArthur's is at 7:30 p.m. You have entered place. Was that volunteering, Mr. Jackson, or just clarifying? So you have at your place, and we'll talk more about this in June, but you have a nice update from Dr. Spadafor. So Ms. Spadafor is sitting here, and this is an update on our special education program. Dr. Spatafor is working on providing an update for special education, but also she's working on a review of our entire special education program and how we provide our services. Some highlights from this report is, if you look on the first page, we have an increase in the number of students with IEPs, or put it another way, we have an increase of students with special needs in our district, students with disabilities. So that number has been increasing. If you turn in a few further pages, you'll find that there's a chart which is in green. And what you'll find in that page, we are having an interesting increase in autism as a increased number of children with that need. And so Dr. Spatafor has been exploring ways of how we can stay with one of our core values, which is to educate as many children with special needs as possible here in our home district. So that's an area that Dr. Spatafor has been paying particular attention to, but it also requires specialized help. And one of the areas where we're experiencing challenges with our teacher shortage is specifically in the area of special education. But in this report, Dr. Spatafor explains the numbers and how as a district we want to work to address the needs of those children. And then if you turn to the next page, there's a discussion Dr. Spatafor has within the indicator 6B, which basically goes to the number of children in our early childhood pre-K program who are receiving services here in District 87, thanks to the work of Dr. Spatafor and our early childhood pre-K team. So our number of children who are being serviced in the pre-K who have disabilities has increased tremendously, and that's what this chart shows. And what we're finding as well is the cost of special education continues to increase. And so if we have children enrolled at PACE, for example, or anywhere resident enrolled out, the cost is much higher. So it's not only helpful for the children to be educated as much as possible in the home district, it makes financial sense for us to do that. But the challenge is, of course, finding the teachers to be able to provide those services. So Dr. Spatafor has been working on that, and she provides, if you look through the rest of this packet, some demographic trends about how our number of special education students as a percentage is now a little bit higher than the state average. And part of that is because children have been moving in with disabilities. And so, Nicole, do you want to share anything else? I tried to give a quick summary.
Spirit, if they have any questions? If there are questions, that's one.
This is an excellent report. Thank you. And I think this is what we're looking for. You know, I talked a couple months ago. So keep giving us information like this. This is a good report. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And your efforts are great. You sure you don't want to add anything, please? You got the floor.
I mean, I think page one is a little different than the reports I've ever shared in the past. You know, but that's just reflective of the change in our demographics of our area. So I just wanted to make sure it was captured with our data about the students that are enrolling into our district. So this is grades 2nd through 8. This is not including pre-K, kindergarten, or nursery. So it's just something to be mindful of.
Thank you. And the only other thing I have just to put on your calendar tentatively, so in pencil, not pen. But as we promised, we had an open house for our Sunnyside MacArthur opening. We plan tentatively, this isn't in stone yet, possibly Friday, August 25th or Saturday, August 26th for the open house for the renovated North Lake Rival. So we'll be back in touch with that. That's kind of a fluid date right now. We act the start of school up a week in anticipation to make sure that we are finished, but our goal is to start school with everything open and all of our furniture arriving. A lot of things that still have to happen, but I wanted to put that date up, those 2 dates out there tentatively, and then we'll be back to solidify the date. Unless there are any questions, that's the end of my report.
report, good updates, appreciate it. Any questions from anyone on the board? Are you up?
Hi. Hello, everyone. So I have for you the bilingual service plan, which is an addition to the district consolidated, the consolidated district plan. So last month I brought you the Title I consolidated plan. And this year the state has added the bilingual service plan. So you have that before you. And we have roughly about 818 English learners within our district. And it just adds, typically that plan is within the Title III grant, but they've put it in the overall consolidated plan. And it really just outlines the services we offer to our bilingual students and how we support them. Here you go, babe. There we go. There. What? You got it. Does everybody have one? Thank you.
I can't report when I open it up.
Do you have one? Give us one.
I'm good listening.
Yeah, fair. Thank you.
It's okay.
Okay. So that outlines the transitional bilingual instruction, our transitional program instruction. So how do we support language acquisition within our schools? It also looks at how do we assess our students. It includes our parent advisory committee, our bilingual parent advisory committee, and then the professional development that we provide for our staff as well. And so the suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the bilingual service plan for the 2024 school year as an addition to the consolidated district plan as presented.
Motion, please. Mr. Jackson, Ms. May. Roll call, please.
Hightower,
Aye.
O'Connell,
I,
Mora,
Hi.
Jackson,
Aye.
motion carried.
And for my monthly report, I just wanted to, we had Camp Duncan the last 2 weeks. And so I just wanted to share a little bit. Dr. Myzanek was going to share, she couldn't be here, she had an appointment this evening. But I wanted to share, it was a fantastic event. Our kids really enjoyed, and so did our staff. It was overall a wonderful experience. The messages that we got back was, number one, it was great weather, both weeks that we went. The kids enjoyed themselves. They got to do rock climbing or like rock wall climbing. Archery seemed to be the fun also event of the day. Just the team building, the camaraderie. We had one teacher like, I think we should go for 2 nights. And so I think that it was definitely a great event. And looking at the pictures and things, the smiles on our kids' faces were amazing. And so we are going to meet with our teaching teams and debrief about all the positives and start planning for next year and what Camp Duncan can look like for our 5th graders moving into next year, and what that field trip can look for us. And it is such a privilege and an experience for our students to experience that outdoor education. So we're really lucky that they were able to experience it this year and have the overnight trip. I think they had a fantastic time. And lastly, out front in the foyer, I've set up the social studies materials for middle school. We have been working with 2 different types of materials. Savas Learning is the one that I have set up outside for anyone to take a look at, and I'll have that set up for several weeks. That is predominantly the one that our teachers have really utilized the most. The other one is called socialstudies.com, which is an online social studies curricular materials that we can also have in print. And so I'll be printing and getting some more materials out there, but Savas seems to be the one that our teachers really like the most. We are finalizing our conversations at the end of this week. And I hope to bring a proposal before the board in June with regard to that. So we've been working on this for most of the year and kind of wrapping things up. It has American history, world history, and then they have a civics program as well. That would be digital and print materials for our 6th through 8th middle schools on both sides of the district.
And the final summer school numbers are what?
Oh, my goodness, that's a really good question. We are extending enrollment and I will look up the summer school numbers here in just 1 second. Right.
Extended enrollment, what?
We did, yes. So Wednesday, I think, is the last day for our enrollment. I know we're still recruiting some students. And the one final push, and I was talking to Dr. Myzanek, is we want to extend the enrollment a couple of days because we're trying to get a few more preschoolers. Because that age group right now seems to be a little bit lower than normal, and so we're trying to get some of our preschoolers into it.
Does that have kids who want them?
Yes. We need some of the little. So we were gonna send out some more communication tomorrow to the families.
And the 818 English learning, they got an increase?
That's been running about the same for the last couple of years. Those are the students that are currently eligible to receive English learning. That are in the program. That does not account for the students who have exited, but we continue to monitor. Those are our current eligible students.
We also will be increasing our enrollment, 201 students this year, and then the refugees that we can.
Yes, we did have, we had about 23-ish, I want to say, newcomers this year. Yeah, around that, that have come, that are newcomers this school year, predominantly in the intermediate and middle.
And
No, that'll be all. I will look up those.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Vince,
Yes. The summary of budget, the statement of position, and the student activity reports for the period ending April 30, 2023 are provided for your review. And then before you, you have information, we met with our current transportation provider, and they presented information for a 1-year extension. So the suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the contract extension with Westway Coach Incorporated for student transportation service for the 2023-2024 school year as presented.
your motion? Mr. Jackson, Ms. Moore, roll call, please.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Mora. Aye. Jackson. Hightower.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And is presented during the facilities committee, the construction change orders. You have information on each change order. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve change order numbers 157 through 169 as presented.
Your motion, Ms. O'Connell and Mr. Jackson, roll call, please.
Hightower.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Mora.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And then I have 2 separate change orders for furniture as they were presented during the facilities committee. So the first one is change order 4, that the Board of Education approve the furniture for the furniture change order 4 for the Sunnyside, MacArthur, and Riley North Lake projects as presented.
Your motion, Ms. Moore and Ms. O'Connell, roll call, please.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mora. Aye. O'Connell.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And the other one talks about Jefferson and Whittier projects, so that the Board of Education approve the furniture for the Jefferson Whittier projects change order 1 as presented.
Your motion, Ms. O'Connell and Ms. Moore, roll call, please.
Hightower.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mora. Aye. Motion carried.
I apologize for not going into detail on this during the facilities committee, but we did have change orders for the asbestos abatement work at the old Sunnyside MacArthur. So they were called back several times. The abatement was started in January. We had the abatement done first, and then the demo project started. And during the demolition, as they opened up areas they were demoing, they identified asbestos. So we had to call the abatement company back, and Dale, I think you said it was 4.
Right,
different events.
4 times right here, different locations. found some underneath lockers, they removed the old lockers, there's some stuff down underneath there. In the locker room, we had abandoned showers that were abandoned years past, so there was still some piping above the walls that were there. There was some asbestos tiles underneath carpeting that was there, that we had that, when they pulled the carpeting, they found asbestos. And there was some more piping work on the second floor above the wall, off the above the ceiling they found. And they all found those as they demoed and put up those areas that's what they had access.
So the additional abatement, all these callbacks utilized the 25,000 in allowance money that was built into the contract. And exceeded that, so the change order is for the amount that exceeded the base bid with plus the allowance. So the change order amount is $11,759.84. Were there any questions, additional questions about the abatement? Additional abatement.
Has any question? Anyone have any question?
Okay. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve asbestos abatement change order in the amount of $11,759.84.
Motion, Ms. O'Connell and Ms. Moore. Roll call, please.
Hightower,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Mora,
Aye.
O'Connell. Aye. Motion carried.
And then as discussed in the facilities committee, the abandoned underground tank that was found requires not only the state marshal to observe the removal, but also to have an engineer oversee it. So ECS Midwest has been doing some of that work already for the district for the projects. So they submitted a proposal for that storage tank removal services. So the suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the ECS Midwest LLC underground storage tank removal services as presented.
Will that cost include the testing of the soil?
I know they have to do testing. Soil sampling.
Include soil sampling, but if it comes back positive or something, there might be additional costs to have the soil problem.
Yeah, that's my question. Yeah. Okay. All right. What was just the rest of that?
That the Board of Education approve the proposal from ECS Midwest LLC for underground storage tank removal services as presented.
Okay, motion? Ms. Moore and Ms. O'Connell, roll call, please.
O'Connell. Aye. Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mora.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And as discussed last month and this month during the facilities committee, we did do additional investigation, and the administration's recommendation is to move forward with the expansion of the maintenance garage in lieu of the storage shed. So the suggested motion is that the Board of Education authorize the district storage garage project as presented.
Motion? Ms. Jackson, Ms. O'Connell, roll call, please.
O'Connell. Aye. Hightower.
Aye.
Mora.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And the last one is an annual contract for the milk service. So the suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the food service department milk vendor contract for the 2023-2024 school year as presented.
I get a motion? Ms. O'Connell? Ms. Moore, roll call, please.
Jackson.
Aye.
O'Connell. Aye. Hightower.
Aye.
Mora.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And so for my monthly report, I just wanted to provide a quick update. I attended the self-annual renewal, which is our workers' comp pool. And our skip mid-year meeting. So during this self-renewal, this is the first year fully outside of COVID. The fund balance or return of contributions. So any year that we don't use the self-insured retention towards claims, the pool retains that money, and as they close out prior years, when all claims have been closed, they have the ability to use that to offset renewals. So we've done that on skip for the liability pools. So this year, they were able to provide a $3 million return of contributions for the pool, entire pool. So having that return of contributions, the renewal for our workers' comp premium shows about a 40% reduction on the tentative amount. So we'll get a final bill in July, but the projection is that District 87's renewal will show a 40% reduction. So
We take it.
yes, we'll take that. And then the skip, we talked about the cyber mitigations, and the pool is using a cyber tool, our toolkit. Mr. Byrne is involved in that as well. And all of these things that the pool is doing with all the member districts will help make the pool more insurable and hopefully keep the premiums low, because that is a high return, a high increase in premiums for the cyber renewal. Okay. And then I wanted to thank the board for the opportunity to attend the IASBO annual conference earlier this month. It was in Peoria. There were a lot of great sessions for professional development. And then I also attended, I participated in a professional development committee for food service. So we started planning for the sessions for the upcoming school year. So thank you for allowing me to attend that. And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to everybody involved. We were selected by the insurance carrier for property insurance from our skip pool. So every year they select a handful of districts, 4, 5, 6 districts, that they go on site to actually see one of the properties that's being insured to make sure what you're submitting on the application is really what's happening. And they picked MacArthur, and the skip team sent a big shout out, because the letter from Travelers, indicated a recommendation on I think it was just on controls for hot water, some minimal things. So our rep from the skip pool said, "Nice job to you and the team. This has to be one of the shortest loss control reports I've ever seen, even for a new school. They're definitely searching for something to put there to having to resort on putting a hot water plan in place." This work is seldom done by any district, but keep up the good work. So there's the shout out to our team, the Gilbane team, and the Wool team.
All right.
And I'll end on that high note.
Well deserved.
Yes.
Any questions? A question? All right. Let's try it.
I wanted to update the board on our work that we'll start doing with Faith's Law. Faith's Law is a new law that will start on July 1st. And what it requires is for public and non-public Illinois school districts to conduct an employment history review for all employees, contractors, substitutes, and all those with direct contact with students who are hired on or after July 1st, 2023. So what you have to do is you have to have any new hires that you have, list anywhere they worked in previous years where they worked with children. So it could be a teacher who's worked in the library or park district. We have to then reach out to those institutions to make sure that when they worked in those placements, that there was no sexual misconduct. And so, this is going to be a big undertaking because we already do employment verifications, but we verify just if the person worked there and how long. But now you have to go back to all of these different places. So we'll be required to complete these for our incoming employees and our outgoing employees. I'll be honest with you, we already received one from a former employee who works in Washington DC. So they probably have this already in Washington DC, but for Illinois, it goes into effect July 1. So, I belong to the Illinois Association of School Personnel Administrators. And so they kind of partnered with this company called Variant. Variant sends a lot of different things already, but they will actually send the forms for us. So that it's not so much, because you can have someone that works 18 places, you know, where they go with children. And so what we're looking into now is we're looking into Variant, reviewing the contract, and then we'll send it to the attorney to make sure that we can partner with Variant. And if you belong to the Illinois Association of School Personnel Administrators, for right now, they're going to give you a discount to sign on with this company. So it will be a great asset if we are able to join with them, because they'll do the employment verification of years of service as well as this new requirement too. And they'll just send it electronically, and then they'll be able to go both ways. So I just wanted to make you aware, you know, of base law, because it is coming here, and we have to give it to contractors, anybody that we partner with that will be working, you know, with our children. So I wanted to make you aware. Wanted to let you know the interviewing season is started and it's ongoing. Principals are interviewing candidates, are meeting with candidates, and then you see we do have people that are beginning to resign as well. I've started this week. I'll start exit interviews tomorrow. I believe it's my first one, but I'll start in person or Zoom exit interviews with our employees who are leaving the district to get their feedback on, you know, what can we do differently, find out the reason, you know, that they're leaving. And I really, really want to get some feedback so I can share it with you, so we can really take a look at the reason why this is happening. That's the end of my report. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions, Travis? Okay, thanks, Mr. Travis. Hey, Mr. Barnes.
Yes, the board approved a leave of mine previously, and I'm coming back to work, so I just wanted to say thank you for that. And thank you to the admin team and the tech team for picking up additional responsibilities when I was out, so a shout out for them for sure. Winding down the end of the school year, getting ready for summer school, and then the focus is on the Riley and North Lake projects. Ordering, shipments, installations. Just making sure the Riley and North Lake project finishes up as smoothly as it's everything.
You have everything you need?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Barnes? No. Mr. White.
And some stuff about ramping up to some construction, but I got a couple of things I might be able to report. Wanted to go over our traffic management. If you have a question, I have to understand how we approach this thing. We follow the board policy as far as how we respond to pest management, and we have to follow the laws, but we can't use chemicals. So we have things like mice, which we had at the beginning of the school year here, all the construction. We have to use traps. We can only use traps in non-student areas. So that always delays the capture, you know. We have to put the traps out at night and kind of take them away in the morning. But we've been weeding through it, and I really haven't heard of any mouse problems now in a month and a half or so. But we still have the traps. We partner with 2 different pest management who are registered with the state, you know, in case I get better service from one or the other, use whoever I need to use. And so we follow all the regulations and do what we can do with the pest management stuff. As we approach summer, plans and all the other normal stuff that happens. But, that's how we deal with next. And then we're going back to the asbestos where it is something important to keep in mind when you're doing projects in the future. Is that, I'm sure, it could be cost cutting, stuff like that, but when you skip parts with the asbestos, it doesn't go away. We have to deal with it sometime in the future as well. So just keep things like that in mind, while we work with projects, just understand that some things you want to take care of now, because it's gonna be a lot more expensive later, you still have to deal with it in the future. That's all.
Thank you for that, and thank you for your leadership on that. Appreciate it. Ms. Butler, anything else you want to add with us? Good report, by the way. Anything you want to add?
We just need to update our school safety policies for, we have to submit to ISB before the school year begins, so we'd like a report on that in June or July.
We're gonna let you take the lead on that. Don't forget to report June or July, either way. Right, Wolf? So. All right,
This way we'll be ready for August.
that's it. Thank you, appreciate it. We have any other questions, concerns? Anyone? Hello? Is that what it is? All right. Get a motion to adjourn? Oh, look at that, be small. Mr. Jackson, roll call, please.
Hightower,
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Mora,
Hi.
Jackson.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right. See you next meeting. Congratulations. Well.